Hey guys, welcome to a new video. So in this video, this is another Gimkit Creative tutorial. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make semisolids. So as you can see right off the bat, I can step on this plank and I can step on this barrier, but I can go right through them too. Well, look at that. I can clip through the barrier from the bottom, but I can also stand on it from the top. So I'm going to teach you how to mimic the functionality of a semisolid. You still can't make true semisolids using just one device or prop. There's no semisolid option yet, but you can do it using zone devices, barriers, and props. So let me teach you how. So over here is our main setup. As you can see, we need 2 zone devices and 1 barrier and then 1 object that you use for visuals. Now I'm gonna go make it from scratch over here. So first I'm gonna take, let's see, why don't we use just barriers and just props, like nothing too complicated for now. So first we have our barrier. It can be any color you like. I'm gonna keep it white for now, and it's gonna be an invisible barrier that has collisions on. That's very important, okay? Make sure that you have an invisible barrier with collisions on. Alright, next thing we need is a zone device. So we're going to put the zone device down here, and what this device is going to be used for is deactivating this barrier. So let's hook it up using wires. Of course, you can always use channels if you like. Now, when the player enters zone, it should deactivate the barrier. Got that? Now let's copy the zone and paste it up here. So we have one on the bottom and one on the top. Now connect, and we have player enters zone, activate the barrier. So these two zones have basically the opposite connections. Now, currently we don't have any visuals since this barrier is invisible and both of the zones are invisible too. So, let me add a visual device. Now, I could just use barriers, but I think using a prop would make more sense here. So, let's see. Let's use maybe, I already used a dark wooden pole, so let me just use a dark wooden pole again. Let me flip this, and there. You can put these as at a slope if you like. Now make sure that your prop or device or whatever it is, it should have collisions disabled. If it has collisions enabled, then the design will not work. Now let's make this as big as the barrier, and here we are. Now make sure that the top of the prop lines up with the top of the barrier. That will help it look better. Now let me grab a spawn pad device. This isn't required, but I want to spawn right here. So let me put a spawn pad right here, and we're good. So as you can see, I've spawned in. Now I can step on top of the barrier / prop, and it looks pretty good. As you can see, if I put the barrier a little higher, it might look better since my feet are clipping in to the prop currently, but that's just a small visual thing. Now, if I jump up, you can see that I can jump right through the barrier. You can see that. And I can even do this. So that's the mechanism. That is how you create a semisolid. Well, not a real semisolid, but an illusion. And it works exactly the same as a real one would. So let me break it down. Basically, let's say that this is you. So you go down here. When you enter this zone, this barrier deactivates, so the hitbox of this pole disappears. You can then jump up here and you enter this zone. This zone activates the barrier. And so our semi-solid has a hitbox again. And then you can jump on top of it, do whatever you want. Then you can go around the edge and then deactivate the barrier when you enter this zone and do it again. That's how it works. That's the design. Now, I'm going to go over here to this section. So, I made this beforehand and it's up and it's decorated. Not very well, but it's still decorated. And basically, this is the same thing. Here's our barrier. It's an invisible barrier. It's black this time because why not? This is a dark wooden pole with no collisions. Same thing as before. This is the deactivation zone, and this is the activation zone. This is just terrain, and then these are just props with no collision. Now, let me go over to that place. And, yeah, this is another semi-solid, except this one uses a barrier. And here we are. So, let's say that this was a part of a real Gimkit Creative level, and you jump. Now this is a slope, and it works perfectly fine, despite, it doesn't matter if it's a slope or not, as long as the barrier and the prop are at the same angle. As you can see, this works exactly the same. So, yeah, that's how you make a semi-solid in Gimkit Creative. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a short one, I know, but it's a short concept. It's really easy to recreate, and of course you can put this in your own maps, obviously. That's why I'm making a video. Just saying, though. And yeah, that's how you can make a semi-solid. One thing to note is that if you are on top of the barrier and you do that, it can be a little glitchy, since, as you can see, I glitched a little. That's just because of how the devices work and how it takes a bit for the zone signal to reach the barrier device. That's not a problem here, since the time it takes for me to wrap around is already big enough. Yeah. Also, if you want, you can decorate this any way you want. Just make sure that your props don't have collision. The only thing that should have collision is the invisible barrier. And I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you learned something. And this has been Mashpot, and Mashpot out.